Hello, I am here with your Sunday, April 25th, 2021 tarot using the Crow Tarot. I have done an off-screen pre-shuffle and now we ask for our messages for Sunday, April 25th. I was kind of called to use this particular deck today. I had an interesting dramatic event happen in my neighborhood, and it involves the crow's cousin, the raven, being rather territorial and protective over a food source. So I know that sounds very eloquent, and it's nowhere near that fancy. What actually happened was somebody from the neighborhood had put some what looked like pieces of bread that were all ripped up. I don't know if they meant to purposely feed the ravens or hoping that their stale bread would be taken care of. But it was. And today what was left of that bread, because that bread was put out a couple days ago, and what was left, the ravens were picking at. But there are a group of seagulls, I don't know what they're called, a flock of seagulls. I really don't know if they have a special name, because a flock of ravens is actually, or crows, are called a murder. So the seagulls and the ravens were having a little turf war over these bits of bread. And it was really interesting to kind of sit back and watch the ravens do some call. Five of Wands on the very bottom. Yeah, that's exactly what they were doing. They were having a major conflict with the seagulls. Death card. I'm going to talk about the death card in a minute. I'm not surprised it's very close to the bottom here. All in all, watch the ravens call in, and it was a very specific sound that they made. They would call in reinforcements, and they were dive bombing the seagulls, which were twice their size. And there was a little bit of a standoff going on for a while, I'm not going to lie. But the seagulls did eventually leave. So their persistence paid off, and persistence paying off, there's the Knight of Pentacles, Page of Wands. They got creative. And the Death card, this guy's going to come in more on Monday and Tuesday. I'm not surprised that it was very close to the bottom of the deck, or at least the part that I take from. And so the Death card, I'm just going to talk really quickly about it. We have the full moon, which is a super full moon, on Monday night. Now it's late Monday night, Standard Eastern Time, so it may be very early morning for you, depending on where you are, meaning after midnight on the 27th. Now on the 27th, we have Pluto, which is the planet of the underworld, otherwise known as what happens after death. And Scorpio is the card that the sign that the Death card is associated to. So we are finishing off this cycle. We're closing it out. It's dying. It's dead. It's going. You really need to be seriously considering cleansing any of those cords and attachments that are kind of residual, that may be preventing you from completing this transformation, because with Pluto going retrograde, that is when the transformation is actually going to start happening, particularly the first few weeks of Pluto being in retrograde, and Pluto is going to be retrograde until October. So we are entering this great big huge phase of actual transformation, which really segues perfectly into the cards. Why? Why is one of my favorite words. I like to dig in and find stuff. If I have a question, I'm like, how come? Why is it this way? Why? Like, why? Why does this mean what it does? Well, okay, You'll probably find me on Google, going down a rabbit hole on YouTube. You never know what you're going to find. And so that's why I say why all the time when I make a statement, and I'm about to show you a card. So why is all of this segueing Scorpio, full moons, and Pluto going retrograde? Off the bottom of the deck, the card that we have is Major Arcana card, and that's the Strength card. It's going to take some strength to get us through all of this transformation, all of this really major change. Now, some of this major change is still everybody else and all the other planets, everything that we've got going on from when everything shifted into the age of Aquarius back in December. If you remember the Great Conjunction with Jupiter and Saturn, both going into the sign of Aquarius, things started happening then. Once we started the astrological new year with Aries in March, happening on the spring equinox, that ushered in another huge shift and change. Pluto going retrograde. This is it. This is it. It's do the work, do the changes. We're transforming whether you like it or not, and you're going to have to be strong either way, whether you are just rolling with the punches, rolling with the energy, or you are stepping up, making those changes and stepping into whatever it is that you are transforming into. And again, I love the cards when all of this stuff works out. So the bottom of the deck is the background influence, and this is going to be playing out very strongly because Major Arcana equals major energy, and therefore kind of puts the minor arcanas, which we do have 3 of them coming up, kind of pushes them to the side a little bit. And this reading really revolves more around the 2 major arcanas than it does the minors. Even though the strength is what is playing out in the background, the strength card is what we are really going to be drawing on. And remember that whole we're transforming, all of that fun stuff. Well, we've got the Magician, and the Magician card is the alchemist, the creator, the manifestor. And it is, as you can see, the first actual numbered card of not just the major arcana, but of the entire tarot. So the Magician, okay, strength card, card of Leo, Magician. Interesting thought about the Magician. Some readers call it the sign or the card of Virgo, which talks about money and getting your hands dirty and doing the work, which we are in the sign of Taurus, and those 2 are both earth signs. But the Magician is also called the card of Gemini, which to me has an extremely interesting reference because I'm a sun sign Gemini, but I am a rising sign Virgo. So either way, I like this card because it represents me either way. So enough about me. The Magician, the creator, the manifestor, getting your hands dirty, doing the work, but you've got all the tools within you already to start manifesting, making those dreams come true, and creating who you are and what comes next. And what comes next, we're into the minor arcana now, and we do have some cups energy, so there's a lot of feelings and attachments, not hugely surprising because we've got the super moon in Scorpio, which is a water sign, which is all about those really deep emotions and really deep attachments. But we have to kind of get through making a very tough decision with the 2 of Swords. Now with the 2 of Swords, as you can see, poor little guy here, Raven, he's got a blindfold on. He can take that blindfold off or use the swords to cut the blindfold off so he can see which direction, which path actually serves him better, and to help him make this decision as to which path or which decision to make. And part of this big decision that we need to make is, do we stick with what we know, with the way things were, the old, or do we cut ourselves free and roll into this new paradigm and this new way of things and fully embrace ourselves and all of the changes that we've been making or that we've been creating or trying to create and bring in and call in? Like, we're stuck. Do we stay put as we are, or do we dig in and step into what we've been creating? And this is going to be a longer video already, guys. There's a lot going on in this next few days to a week. This full moon energy is really going to be carrying us into the new moon, which approximately in 2 weeks' time. So this is a really strong energy that really wants us to dig in, really release and cleanse and just clear out that old that is keeping us stuck. Remember last week? That was all of last week, is we were stuck. Now we've got to move. We've got to transform, or we're going to stay stuck. And that is part of the decision that we are needing to make. Trust me, I'm no exception to any of this stuff. And a lot of times as I'm doing these readings, there's little bells going off in my head. Those little light bulbs are going bing, 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 because it's resonating with me too. And I don't do anything with the cards other than shuffle them right before I do a reading. So as I'm talking, some of this is really resonating with myself as well. Up next, we have the Knight of Cups. Now, the Knight of Cups is someone or an energy that is coming in to offer you love, a message of love, a cup of love. Now, that message can be something as simple as, who do you get that love from? And that can be yourself. This can be your own energy. This does not have to be a third party that is coming in and rescuing you. You put in the love to yourself and into creating this new thing, this new stuff, this new energy, new lifestyle, whatever it is that you are wanting to bring in and transform in. You can do so. We've got the Magician here. You've been creating it. You've been wishing it. You've been speaking it. And we are literally standing right before the change happens. And with the Two of Swords energy here, it's, okay, do I step into this? Do I embrace it? Do I put that love into it? Or am I going to stay with what's familiar and comfortable? We do have one more card, and I do strongly feel that this, again, is an energy that is going to resonate more so after we've made the decision. But we've got the Seven of Cups. Remember, I said there was a lot of cups energy here, which is feelings, but this feeling is a little bit overwhelmed. The Seven of Cups talks about having a lot of options to the point where we're not sure which one to take, where to go, what's the best one. Do we accept one option and then have another one better and then feel stuck? Or, you know, it's just a whole lot of really feeling overwhelmed. And that can be, once you have made a decision, maybe options are going to be opening up to you, depending on what you are creating and what you end up speaking. Another thing about the Magician is, if you feed into the fear of, like, you want to create something new and then it gets presented to you, but then you step back in fear instead of embracing it, well, you are making a decision to stay where you were instead of embracing something new. Now, that can be overwhelming in itself. The other thing that can be very overwhelming is you do step into the new, and now all of these doors open all at the same time. You've purposely chosen to walk forward into the new, into this new energy, this new you that you've been creating and feeding love into. And now all of these doors are just magically like, boom, now we've got every option that we wanted is being presented to us all at the same time. And that in itself can be overwhelming. And having all of those options, and the ravens are flying by the window right here. These guys wanted to talk today because when I opened the box, a whole bunch of the cards just flew out as well. But we've got a lot of options one way or another. And the biggest option is, do we step forward into what this is we've been creating and putting a lot of attention onto, which is going to take an extreme amount of strength to do? Or do you stick with what is comfortable and what you've known, which is a lot easier to do, but then nothing changes? And you will end up stepping into whatever it is you feed. So if you feed the fear, that's what you're going to get. If you feed the new, be ready to step into that, because this could be offered to you in the very near future, and you're going to have to be ready to make a quick decision. You're going to have to take that blindfold off and be ready to look at everything that is being presented to you. And hopefully you open your heart and choose what it is that you've really honestly been wanting and creating and feeding with love, because there's like this card here to me doesn't look downtrodden. The sunflowers here are what really catches my eye, and the sunflowers, particularly in this deck, have a lot of positive connotations. And to me, this cup right here is filled with gold. So again, feed the good stuff. Whatever it is you're trying to create it with love instead of fear. This full moon, this is a great time to start cutting those cords and releasing that fear, so that when Pluto in retrograde gets in full swing, you're going to be ready to step into that transformation. And remember, the Knight of Pentacles, this is something you've been working very hard at, and this could be coming in the form of a message. The crow here looks like he's screaming something. That's why I'm getting message. But be ready for the Death card, whether it is the transformation part, which is happiness that comes in, or if it's the grief and sorrow that you end up feeding. So I'm going to leave it here. This was a really long video for a daily tarot, but remember, you create your future, and that transformation is literally on our doorstep. So I am going to talk to you tomorrow.